Welcome to my channel. Now, let me ask you something. Do you dream of speaking English fluently, but you think it's too difficult or it's too late? Perhaps you've tried and you quit. Or maybe you're new at this and you're not quite sure where to start. I understand that feeling. I was there too. The curse words were there. They didn't come out. The sentences felt too big. The rules of grammar stymied me. And sometimes I didn't want to try at all. But then something changed. Slowly, step by step. In this video, I would like to take you on a journey. A very simple journey of 15 simple, clear steps. These steps can truly transform your English speaking. They are not magic. They are not complicated. But they are real. And they work. You don't need to be perfect. You don't even need a large vocabulary. You don't need to speak fast. You only need to begin. If you will follow me step by step, I'll teach you how to make English a part of your life. Not just something you study, but something you live with, something you enjoy, a thing that matures with you. Chapter 1. I was 0, just like you. This is how long the story has been for my first day of learning English. I didn't know how to say hello, not with confidence, not without fear. I can recall standing in front of a mirror practicing saying simple things. My voice was low. My heart was beating fast. I felt like a child again. A child who really wanted to say something but isn't able to find the words. I wasn't born in an English-speaking country. No one in my environment spoke English. No teacher, no school. No mentor for me. And I had only one thing, a desire to learn. Whenever I heard people speaking English, either as a kid watching TV or in person, it felt like a different world, a world I didn't belong to. I wondered if perhaps fluency in English was only for smart people, or rich, or lucky. But I wanted to try. I made myself a promise. One word today, just one small step. And that's how it all began. At first, I would have a little notebook in my pocket. I wrote down the words I didn't know. I would jot down simple sentences, for example, "How are you?" and "My name is Tom." I would have read them over and over, not because I had to, but since I wanted to feel how they tasted in my mouth. I didn't know them, but I wanted them to become a part of me. The beginning days were tough. I didn't understand anything. I watched English videos, but everything seemed too fast. I could read short texts, but I had to look at the dictionary every 2 lines. At times, I wanted to throw in the towel. I thought, this is too hard. Maybe I can never do this. But then I remembered something my mother once told me. Every big thing starts small. I held on to that. And then came a small moment. A moment that transformed everything. I was walking in a park. I noticed a tourist with a map. He looked lost. I wanted to help. But I was nervous. What if I say the wrong thing? What if he doesn't get what I'm saying? My heart was beating. My hands were cold. But I remembered one sentence I had written in my notebook. I took a deep breath. I approached him and asked, "Can I help you?" He looked at me and smiled. "Yes, please," he said. "I'm looking for the museum." I gestured toward the street and said, "Go straight and turn left." He said thank you and walked off. That was it. Just a few words, but they came out of my mouth and somebody got them. Inside me, I felt something like a powerhouse, not just the pride that the confident have, but possibility. I thought, if this once, why not this other time? That was my spike moment. The instant I realized I could actually learn to speak English. It gave me hope. That's the day I began to believe in small wins. I didn't stick around until I was fluent. I've cheered every word I've said, every sentence I understood. I discovered that small is fine. Everyone starts from zero. It is with our language, too. The finest of speakers was once a beginner. Just like me. Just like you. So if you are beginning today, don't be intimidated. Don't feel ashamed. It's okay to be a beginner. It's okay to speak slowly. It's okay to make mistakes. The point is, you begin. Say one word today. Say one sentence tomorrow. Speak to your mirror. Speak to your friend. If you dare, talk to a stranger. But speak, and every single word you say is a step closer to fluency. And here's the most important thing to remember. I started at 0, too. Chapter 2. My first 10 words that revolutionized everything. When I began learning English, it felt like a huge mountain to me. It was gorgeous, and I saw no way to climb it. 1,000 words were not going to help me. It wouldn't cost me anything to not speak perfectly. I just needed something little, something I could hold in my hand and use. And then I learned a very important fact. Words were, quite simply, the bricks of language. If you want to make something strong, you need the right bricks. So I thought, what are the words that I need first? I did not open a huge dictionary. I didn't look for the longest or hardest words. I just looked around me, and I thought about my day-to-day. I said to myself, what the hell do I say when I go outside? What do I say when I'm hungry or when I meet somebody new? I began to write them down in my notebook. So, I had my first 10 words, not from a textbook, but from real life. Here they are. Hello, please. Thank you. Water. Food. I want. I don't want. How much? Where? Bathroom. That's it. Just 10 words. But those 10 words empowered me. With them, I could say hello to someone, ask for food, say no, and even find the bathroom. It felt like magic. Suddenly, English wasn't something I saw only on TV. It was something I could physically cling to, something I could use. I practiced them every day. I didn't just memorize them. I said them out loud. I played with them. Hello, how much? I want water, please. Where's the bathroom? I would say them while walking, while eating, and while brushing my teeth. I wanted the words to taste natural in my mouth. Then came a special moment, a tiny, mundane moment that had a lasting impact on me. And I was walking through the marketplace in my town. I saw a small food truck. Inside, the man was cooking something that smelled really good. I wanted to try it. I had never, ever ordered food in English. But I remembered my 10 words. I took a deep breath, approached the counter, and said, "Hello, I want food, please." The man smiled. "What kind of food?" he asked. I indicated something in the pan. This one, I said. How much? He told me the price. I paid him and uttered the words, "Thank you." That was all. A short conversation, maybe 15 seconds. But could I tell you how happy I was? I had just spoken English in the real world. I didn't have to speak perfect grammar. I didn't need long sentences, just 10 simple words. But those 10 words would make all the difference. They gave me confidence. They taught me I could make it, that I wouldn't die, even though I barely spoke English. And that was the courage for me to keep going. This is what I'll tell you. You don't need to learn it all at once. Here are 10 strong, practical words to begin with. Words for real life. A discussion of themselves. Words that you can actually use in the real world. You never use a word you don't know, so don't waste time learning words you'll never use. Focus on what matters. Learn the words you'll use in your day. Greetings, food words, asking directions, and polite words. Then use them. Say them to yourself. Say them to others. Don't be shy. The perfect moment never arrives. Each time you use a word, it becomes more of your own. And remember this, fluency doesn't begin with 1,000 words. It starts with one, and then another, and then another. I put my first 10 words in the door just to crack it open. They made English feel nearby, not far away, real, not scary, and once that door opened, I never stopped stepping through it. You can do the same. Make your first 10 words tally today. Practice them, say them, use them, because even the tallest mountains start with the first step, and even the mightiest conversations start with a few simple words. Chapter 3. I scanned with photos, not with translations initially. When I would learn a new English word, I would say, "What is this in my language?" I would stare at the word apple, and my brain would go, Seb. I saw spoon, and I thought, chamach. That's how I had been taught all along, by translating. But something felt wrong. It was slow. Each time I wanted to say something, I had to translate from my language to English. It was like walking with a pack on your back. One step, stop, open the bag, look inside, then move again. I didn't have the words to express myself like that. There had to be a better way, I thought. And there was. I was watching a teacher in a video who said something that startled me. He said, "Don't translate." Imagine I didn't know what he meant at first. Then he gave an example. He showed us a picture of a cat. "What is this?" he asked. "A cat," he answered himself. "Was it me who said it in your language first? Number, I just showed the picture. You saw it. You felt it. That's how children learn. And that's how you should study, too." That idea stayed with me. I decided to try it. I put away my dictionary and my language. I got picture flashcards. I installed an app paired with sound and pictures. I made my own notebook. I drew a picture of the word on one side. On the other, I wrote the English word. No translation. Only English and the image. I learned like a baby. Learned like a baby. And then something wonderful occurred. It was morning, and I sat having breakfast. I picked up a spoon, and I didn't say chamach. My brain just said spoon, so fast, so clear. I smiled. That's when I knew something was different. English was no longer outside me. It was inside me. I'd given up on the translation. I was actually beginning to think in English. That was a special moment, a small object, a simple word. But it was real. That's when I knew this recent approach was working. I kept going. Each time I learned a new word, I would attempt to visualize it rather than translate it. For example, apple. I didn't think Seb. I imagined a shiny red apple. I remembered how it tasted. I felt the crunch. That just kept the word in my mind deeper than before. I associated its essence with an image, with a sense of it, not with another word, and that explained everything. I learned feelings that way also. Happy. I had not spoken the word in my language. I closed my eyes and remembered the last time I laughed with a friend. That state, that portrait, became happy. Every time I would learn a new word, I would do this. No more lists, no more translations, only images and emotions. This was real learning. I noticed something else too. My brain was faster. My speaking became smoother. No more official looking and translating for me. I glanced at the sun and said sun, not Suraj. When I saw water, I thought water and not pani. And gradually, English began to feel like a second skin to me. It was still basic. It was still simple. But it was mine. Here is what I want you to remember. Learning words is not the same thing as memorization. It's really about feeling and seeing. And when you attach to a word a picture or a memory or an emotion, that word is connected to you. You don't forget it. You don't have to look for it. It comes to you. So try this. Take your next 10 words, make a little picture to represent each, or find one online. Don't write the translation, just the English word with the picture. Say the word out loud. Close your eyes. Picture it. Feel it. And repeat. You are going to see something very special take place. You will translate less and less over time. Gradually, you'll begin to think in English. And then you begin to think in English, and everything changes. You speak better, you understand better, and you feel more confident. That day with the spoon was a wake-up call for me. A small object, a small thought, but a big change. That's when I realized English was not just any subject. It was part of me, and it can work its way into yours as well. Chapter 4. My mirror became my talking mirror. The problem I had in the early days was huge. I was dying to speak English, but I didn't have anyone to speak to. No English friends, no speaking group, just me, my room, and my dreams. I remember feeling stuck. I was studying vocabulary, comprehending videos, and reading books. But when I tried to speak, nothing came out. My tongue felt heavy. My head was full, but my voice was silent. And one time I watched an English coach video. If you have nobody to speak with, you speak with your mirror, he said. It sounded strange. Who talks to a mirror? But I was curious. I thought, why not try? That evening, I faced my mirror. I looked into my own eyes. I said, "Hello, my name is Tom. I am learning English." I murmured, my voice soft, nearly a whisper. I felt silly. But I smiled, and I repeated it, this time louder. Hello, my name is Tom. I am learning English. I looked at my mouth. I watched how my lips moved. I searched my own eyes and tried to sound confident. That moment was a revelation, and everything changed for me. I began a new habit. I spent 5 minutes in front of the mirror every night. I spoke simple sentences. I replied what I did that day. Woke up at 7. I ate breakfast. I watched a video. I practiced how to use my lips and tongue. I was doing my best to articulate every word. I played like I was talking to a human being. The mirror was my speaking partner. Looking in the mirror, I wasn't scared. Nobody laughed at me. No one to judge my grammar. Just me and my English. And every day, I got better. I learned what my face looked like when I spoke English. I noticed when I mumbled. I corrected myself. I would repeat sentences over and over again. And I looked myself in the eyes. It was weird but powerful. I also drew up a roster of what I named secret sentences. These were brief sentences that I was using every day. How are you today? I feel good. Can you help me? I don't understand. Please repeat that. I repeated them to the mirror until they were reflexive. I no longer had to worry about them. My mouth knew them. My brain trusted them. They became my tools. And then the spike. It was many weeks later, one evening, that I stood before a mirror as usual. I began my sentences. But something was different. I wasn't just repeating. I was speaking with feeling. I smiled naturally. My voice was strong. I wasn't seeing a nervous learner anymore. I saw someone confident. There was one that looked like he knew a word or two of English. I stopped and just looked at myself. I felt proud. I wasn't afraid anymore. That night I realized something crucial. Speaking is a muscle, and like muscles you need to train it. You've shaved every day of the week, too. You have to make a sound. It doesn't make any difference if you're the only one. What matters is practice. So I kept going. I looked at the mirror every day. I babbled about a day in my life, my feelings, and my fantasies. I tried new words. I played with sentences. I laughed at my mistakes. I celebrated my progress. And little by little, my English voice was getting stronger. If you're watching this and you're feeling shy, or if you don't have someone to sit across from, I want to tell you, your mirror is your friend. It will not laugh. It will not correct you, but it will listen. It'll give you some confidence. It will show you your face as you speak, and that is power. Here is what you can do. Start today. Just 5 minutes. Place yourself facing your mirror. Say your name. Say one thing you did today. Shout out something you want to do tomorrow. Speak slowly. Watch your lips. Smile. Don't worry about mistakes. Just speak. Over time, you will see what I saw. Not fright, not bewilderment, but resolve. Your voice is waiting. Give it space to grow. Even if no one else hears right now, your mirror will. Here's to the day you walk out and have a conversation with the world, with as much confidence as when you first caught your own eye. Chapter 5. I saw, I mimicked, I grew. After a few evenings with my mirror, I began to feel more confident. I could say basic things. I was no longer afraid of my own voice. But I had one big issue. My English did not sound natural. My words were slow. My voice was flat. My sentences did not have the rhythm nor the feeling of a native speaker. I wanted to speak like them. I just wanted it to be smooth, to flow. So I thought, how do they talk like that? How can I learn their music? One evening, I turned to the internet for answers. Then I came across a video on something called shadowing. Don't study English, the speaker said. Copy English. That made me stop. Copy English? What does that mean? I watched the video closely. The idea was simple. You grab a brief video or audio clip, something with slow and clear English. Then you listen and try to speak at the same time as the speaker, not after. At the same time, just like a shadow. It's not just listening. It's not just repeating. It's a mimic of every sound, every pause, every emotion. You become the actor. You speak with their voice. I decided to try it. I watched this little scene from a boring English film. Two characters were in a cafe talking. One said, "Hi, how are you?" The other said, "I'm okay, thanks." "And you?" I watched the scene on repeat. I listened closely. I listened to how they pronounced each word. Voice that lifted and voice that lowered. The little pauses. The smile in the voice. And then I played it again and shadowed. I talked to them. Echoed to them. "Hi, how are you?" "I'm fine, thanks. And you?" At first it was hard. My timing was off. My voice didn't match. I felt frustrated. But I kept going, again and again. I watched it 20 times. I spoke with them. I became them. And something strange occurred. I heard myself, and I sounded authentic. Not perfect, but natural. I didn't sound like a robot finally for once. I sounded like I spoke English. And so that moment, at which point I already had been a professional reporter for years, having heard my own voice and feeling proud of that, that was a little spike moment that I will never forget. It gave me power. It gave me hope. It reminded me that fluency isn't just about knowing words. It's about how you say them. From there, I started to shadow every day. I discovered more scenes, short, simple dialogues in a lazy movie or a children's program, or even on an English learning YouTube channel. I chose voices I liked. I copied their words. I copied their emotions. If I heard someone who sounded happy, I smiled. If someone was serious, I was serious sounding. I didn't just copy the words. I stole the life from inside the words. And gradually, something within me shifted. My voice changed. My rhythm changed. I wasn't just speaking. I was feeling the language. Shadowing also taught me another lesson. You don't have to know everything. When I was watching a video, I didn't pause for every new word. I listened to the sound, not the meaning. This time I believed my brain would figure it out. And it did. My ears became sharper. I began catching little things, like how going to is gonna and did you is did ya. These were lessons the books did not teach. But movies and people did. I even felt kind of stupid talking to myself in my room, impersonating actors and cartoon characters. But every day I saw improvement. My voice became smoother. My timing got better. And above all, I began to feel English, not merely learn it. If you're watching the show and thinking, wait, can I actually do this? Yes, you can. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to try. Find a short video. 1 minute is enough. Play it, listen, copy, speak with the speaker. Don't stop on account of making mistakes. Just keep going. Here's a little quiz for you. Tonight, watch a video you actually like. A friendly dialogue. Play it 3 times. Then shadow it 3 times. Watch how your voice changes. You might be surprised. And you might even smile, like I did, when you hear your own voice and say to yourself, "Wowicles, that sounds like English." Shadowing is not magic, but it works. It worked for me, and it can work for you too. Watch, steal, evolve, step by step, word by word, voice by voice. Chapter 6. I even said it when I was scared. There is a point in the journey of every English learner when fear gets in the way. A big, heavy fear. The fear of speaking. The fear of making a mistake. The fear of people laughing at you or not getting you. I know this fear very well. It dwelt inside me a long time. The more I thought about speaking English, the more my heart raced. My hands got cold. My voice disappeared. I have some English here, pointing to my head, but my mouth wouldn't help me out. Cut. Help me. I felt stuck. I didn't speak in my early days at all. I heard English, I read some words, and I even attempted to write now and then. But speak, number. I was too afraid. I said to myself, I'm not ready. I need more time. But days passed, then weeks, then months. I was studying, but I wasn't using my voice. And gradually that fear got stronger. One day, something changed. I've watched a video about a girl who was studying English. She wasn't perfect. She did not pronounce very distinctly. She made grammar mistakes. But she spoke. She smiled. She used her English. And people were kind to her. They would tell me things like, "You're doing great," and "keep going." I felt surprised. I always believed that people would be critical or ridicule me if I made a mistake. But this girl is telling me something else. I wanted to try. I signed up for a small English group, just online. It was a spot where people from around the world discussed common life and ran simple conversations. I didn't speak at first. I just read the messages. I saw people sending voice notes and quick texts. I admired their courage. And one evening I said, "Why not?" I wrote a message. "Hello, I'm learning English. I want to practice." My fingers were shaking, but someone replied, "Hi, nice to meet you. Welcome." That small welcome was all I needed. I got a voice note a few minutes after that from the same person. He asked, "Where are you from?" in a kind, friendly voice, and now it was my turn. I opened the voice recorder. My hand was shaking. I felt my heart in my ears. I turned on the recorder, and I spoke. One line, "Hello, I am from Pakistan. I'm learning English." Then I sent the voice note. I waited. 1 minute passed, then 2. Then a reply. I pressed play, and I won't forget what I heard. The person said, "Wow, your English is good. Keep going." It was just this aha moment inside of me. I was allowed to speak. shaky, slow, imperfect voice and all. And it was even more than that. It was comprehended and even appreciated. That night I replayed my voice note endlessly. I heard my own courage, I heard my effort, and I heard possibility. And from that day I began to talk more. At first, only brief voice messages, then small video calls with recipients like me. I wasn't hitting all the right notes all the time. Sometimes I forget words. Sometimes I got stuck. But every time I talked, I got a little braver. What went the furthest was little conversations with nice people. I wasn't attempting to discuss the meaning of life. I talked about my day, my food, the weather, my favorite movie. They were small topics that allowed me to develop a big confidence. There's one thing I've learned. Waiting out of fear won't make those fears disappear. Fear never goes away unless you confront it, gently, little by little. It's not an hour of speaking. Start with one sentence, one message, one hello, and choose kind people, sorted people who get that you're learning. If you're watching this and you're as anxious as hell about speaking, it's okay. You are not alone. I was nervous too. I was scared. But I didn't let fear win. I spoke, even when I was shaking. And every time I spoke, I expanded. Tonight, send a voice note to a friend, or videotape yourself and then listen to it, or talk to your mirror again, but with more feeling. Whatever you do, speak. Let that voice free, even if it shakes. This is because each time you open your mouth, English comes out of it. The opening is the most difficult to write. But after that, magic begins. Chapter 7. I learned sentences but not rules. When I was learning to speak English in the beginning, grammar seemed impossible. There was too much to learn: tenses, articles, prepositions, and conditionals. I attempted to learn about them from books. I attended videos packed with explanations. But each visit left me more confused. I got how to play for a bit, but when I tried to talk, I blanked. Here's someone who didn't know where that S goes, where have goes, or when to use has. Grammar, I came to be anxious about, and maybe, I thought, English is too hard for me. So one day I was watching an easy English video. It was not about grammar. It was a simple chat between two friends talking about their weekend. One said, "I like to take a walk in the evening." That was an easy sentence, and I could get that one. But then I heard the other friend say, "I like watching movies on Sunday." That caught my attention. The sentence was nearly identical. Just one part changed. I was like, hold on, I can do that too. So I got out a notebook and wrote the sentence, "I like to," and then I appended additional endings. I like to drink tea. I like to learn English. I like to play football. I want to talk to my friend. Something went off in my head. I was no longer confused. I didn't have to read a rule. I just had to use the sentence. I could feel the pattern. I didn't want to know why to was there. It just so happens that it was right there in this kind of sentence. And that was enough. From that day, English is something I am learning in a different way. And so I stopped memorizing grammar rules, and I started memorizing sentences. Not just any old sentences, but strong, compelling, useful sentences. Sentences I could actually use in real life. I wrote up a list of my favorites and tried them out every evening. Here are a few of the sentences I had to work with. What do you do? Can you help me? I'm not sure. I think so. Let's go. I don't understand. I'm learning English. I read these sentences aloud. I wrote them. I read them. And little by little I began using them. I would be in a shop and not understand, and I would say, I don't understand. If people asked me what I did, I used to reply, I'm learning English. I didn't care about the grammar, I just spoke. The obnoxious spark occurred one day when I was talking to someone online. Do you like to read? He asked me. And I said without thinking, yes, I like short stories. Then he added, what kinds of stories do you love? And I like to read stories about travel, I said. Suddenly I saw it. I had used the structure 2 times. I like to read. It just came out. I didn't plan it. I didn't think about grammar. I just spoke. And it felt amazing. That's when I noticed something amazing. When you learn sentences in full, you don't have to worry about the rules. The rules are in the sentence itself. Your brain starts to taste the language when you use the sentence over and over again. You start to know what rings true. Meanwhile, grammar is important, of course. But you don't have to study it like a scientist. You need to be feeling it as a speaker. And the best way to do that is through complete sentences, patterns, language blocks that you can reuse again and again. Now, here's what I always tell the new learners. Forget about grammar rules. Start collecting sentences. Speak to them. Deploy them in other circumstances. Change a word here and there. Make them your own. If you're intimidated by grammar, don't we meek and mild agree? Try this instead. Pick one sentence. A simple, useful one. Say it every day. Use it in real life. Then choose another. You'll gradually accumulate a collection of powerful sentences like your very own bevy of triflin' bitches. And grammar? It will follow you. And you won't even notice, but you'll be using it correctly. This is how I learned to talk. Not by reading rules, but by dwelling within sentences. You can do it too. Start today. One sentence at a time. Chapter 8. I read easy stories every night. Books were my best teachers. But not the books you think. I didn't spend hours writing out long grammar exercises with buried, anxious mistakes. Big novels with long, difficult sentences. I didn't have the patience. I began with simple stories. Very simple stories. The first book I remember was a storybook. It was a story of a small boy and his dog. The sentences were short. The words were simple. At first I was like, this is too easy. I want it to be more sophisticated. But I was wrong. That wee book was all. I read the first page, then the second. I didn't know what every word meant, but I followed the story. The boy was searching for his dog. He would say to people, "Have you seen my dog?" That line came back again and again. "Have you seen my dog?" Pretty soon, that was a sentence in my head. I began to say it to myself, not just for the story, but for my own English. Then I realized something huge. Stories teach you language without pressure. You're not sitting and memorizing rules. You feel them. You hear how the language works over and over, and your brain starts to mimic it. I made a new habit. I read a short story before bed every night, just one, sometimes only one page. I didn't even necessarily have to finish the entire book. The feeling was what mattered, the connection. Oh, the bliss of knowing something real in English. By the beginning, I wanted a dictionary. Every time I'd put it down, look a word up and move on. But slowly, that changed. My brain began to guess the meaning from the pictures, the context, or the words around it. One evening, something beautiful occurred. I started a new story and read. Page 1, page 2, page 3. And I didn't stop. I understood everything, every line, every word, and I never once opened the dictionary. I read the story to the end, set the book aside, and smiled. I felt as though I'd been climbing a small mountain. Its story was small, but as small victories go, I would take it. That was my spike moment. That was the night I felt, I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, I can comprehend English. These simple stories did more than upgrade my reading. They gave me new words, new phrases. They trained me in how sentences function. They taught me what sounds like, to the nearest approximation I can manage, natural English, not textbook English. And most important, they made me love the language. I remember a few of the stories I read. A girl who wanted to fly, a rabbit who lost his way, a boy with a robot for a friend. These were my friends in these characters. Their modest exploits were good for me. Every story just left a little bit of English in my heart. Now I say to students all the time, don't be afraid of easy books. You needn't assume they're for kids. If you get them, if you like them, they are right for you. Language is not a matter of difficulty. It's about connection. It's trying to feel around the words, not just translate them. Do you want to learn English? Read easy stories for kids. Pick books with brief sentences. Stories about daily life. Stories with pictures. Read them again and again. Let it seep into your brain like a song. The words will stay with you, not because you learned them, but because you experienced them. And if you can turn this into a habit, perhaps just 10 minutes or so every night, you'll see a big difference. But there will be some day when you finish a story, put the book down and say, okay, I got that. I understood it. And that's when you'll smile, the way I did. So, start tonight. Keep an eye out for any story that you are curious about, one that makes you feel. Read it slowly. Enjoy it. You aren't just reading in English. You are living it. One story at a time. Chapter 9. I Listen to the World in English. There was a day when I held up my phone and wondered, why is everything still in my native language? That changed everything. That question. At that point, I said to myself, if you want to speak English, you've got to be part of it. And not only in my studies, but also in my everyday life. So, I switched my phone to English. The time, the calendar, the weather, the alarms, everything. At first, it felt strange. I second-guessed even basic words and phrases, like reminder or update. But that was the point. Each click was a little lesson. Each of their words was an opportunity to learn. Then I went further. I set my YouTube homepage to English. I began subscribing to channels in plain English about travel, food, stories, and even cartoons. Not grammar channels, not formal lessons, just life in English. And it made a big difference. Because now I was listening intently. I wasn't just studying. I was living. Soon I was doing something for the first time. I realized I'd said it out loud when I wanted to know what the weather was like. "Let me check today's forecast," I announced, and weirdly, no one took the hint to come to me for help. When I was cooking, I'd ask myself in English, "What should I add now?" I listened to music, and I looked for easy English songs and tried to sing them, to understand the lyrics. I started filling up the little pockets of my day with English. Here's the secret I want to tell you. You don't need more time. You need more English around you. Rather than changing your entire life, start with the language around your life. One word here, one sentence there. Over time, your brain starts to interpret English as the norm. And then, miracle of miracles. One morning, I woke up feeling anxious for reasons I couldn't explain. I'd only just woken up, but I remembered something. A dream. But this dream was different. I wasn't using my native language in the dream. I was speaking English. Not perfectly, but clearly. Then I remember saying to somebody, "Can I help you?" And the guy smiles and says, "Thank you." It was an ordinary little dream, nothing to write home about. But to me, it was everything. What it meant was that I was afraid that my brain had accepted English not only as a subject to study, but as a real language, as part of me. That was my spike moment. That dream said to me, a lot is going down. After that, I did take notice. I realized I didn't have to sit with books for hours. I just wanted to hear what the words sounded like in English. The world was already talking. I just needed to listen. So I began talking to myself more. I did at-home watch parties and washed dishes while listening to audio tales. I read short interviews before going to bed. I overheard people ordering pipe coffee, repairing cars, and talking about their dogs, all in English. And my ears gradually learned the music of the language, its rhythm, its tune, its silences. I was starting to comprehend more and more, little by little. I could sense the meaning, even if I didn't understand every word. And gradually, the fear of hearing vanished. It became a joy. So here's what I discovered. Some lesson plans aren't meant to be waited for. Turn your world into English. Your phone, your music, your avocation, your mind. Let the language be your backdrop. Let it be the air around you. Why? Because in a world where English is ever present, you cease to be a student. You start being a user. You quit struggling against the language and you just go with it. And one morning, you wake up from a dream and realize you're thinking, speaking, and even smiling in English, just like I did. Chapter 10. English became my best friend. Forwardness. Layout. English became my everyday friend. I used to think of English as a stranger to me, someone I'd only met in school books or inside a classroom. I didn't feel close to it. I would rather visit like a museum, interesting, but far away from my life. But one choice changed everything. I will treat English like a friend, not a subject, not a test, a friend. Let me explain. A friend is someone you talk to on the phone every day. You don't always have the deep talks, but you touch base. You smile. You ask, "How are you?" And that's what I began doing with English. Before checking my messages in the morning, "Good morning." I didn't say it. I felt it. I gazed out the window and remarked, "It's a beautiful day." It was a small move, but a significant one. I used to talk to myself in English while brushing my teeth. "I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'll wash my face." It seemed silly at first, but it grew on us. And here's the key. I didn't hold out for overtime. I leveraged the time I had, waiting in line. I'd describe what I saw. "There's a red shirt, man. He's holding a baby." Walking home, I'd ask myself questions. What did I do today? What will I eat for dinner? I discovered English was all around me. It wasn't just in books or videos. It was in the mirror, in the street, in the kitchen. One night, the weirdest thing happened. I was cooking. The onions were sizzling. I went for the salt. Then, not even thinking, and muttered aloud, "Just a pinch of salt, not too much." Then I smiled. I didn't feel like I was practicing English because I was just kicking back overall. It was as though I were living in English. There was just me and cooking and thinking and talking, and it all felt normal. That was my spike moment. Not in a classroom, not during a lesson, but in the kitchen, a spoon in one hand and a sentence on my tongue. I began then to incorporate small English moments into every stage of my day. AM. What are we doing today? Evening. What are you grateful for today? When I felt sad, it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. When I was feeling happy, this is nice. They were not complex sentences. They were soft, simple, friendly, exactly as if you were speaking with someone you love. And the more I did it, the more natural it felt. I ceased waiting for practice time. I lived in practice. English became my friend, not loud, not perfect, but just always there. Some people claim, "I'm too busy to learn English," but the fact of the matter is, you don't need more time. You just have to fit English into the time you already spend. So here's what I want you to know. Make English your buddy on a daily basis. Talk to it. Laugh with it. Whisper to it. You can take it with you to the kitchen, the bus stop, the mirror. Make it a part of you. Because when English is your bud, this is what happens. You stop feeling like you're learning, and you begin to feel like a speaker. Chapter 11. I make my mistakes, and I learn from them. In the early days of my English, mistakes seemed like mini disasters. I would say something dumb, and my face would turn red. My heart would beat fast. I'd think, why did I even say that? I'm so stupid. I remember one time I wanted to turn to him and say, "I'm full after dinner." But I randomly said something else, something that made everybody giggle. It wasn't a mean kind of laughter, but I was so embarrassed. I wanted to disappear. That night, it was that night that I thought I was sort of about to give in. I thought, maybe English isn't the language for me. But something shifted over time. I learned that failing wasn't a failure. It's a sign of trying. And trying is how we grow. Here's what worked the best for me. Now, one day I was talking to somebody online. I made a sentence and it was incorrect. I used the wrong tense. I was waiting for silence, or maybe a laugh. But the person grinned and said, "Oh, I think you mean I have been there, not I am been there." That moment changed me, because they didn't feel like they were making me sick. They helped me kindly. And I remembered that correction for the rest of my life. That day, the "I have been" was clear to me. That's the spike moment. Not just finding the right way to do it, but understanding how kindness transforms a mistake into a gift. I began to think about mistakes in a new way. And when I said something wrong, I wrote it down. I didn't hide from it. I studied it. I asked questions. Why did I err in this way? What is the correct way? How can I remember that next time? I even began filling a small notebook, which I named My English Lessons, with the phrases. But it was no treasure trove of rules. It chronicled my mistakes and what I learned from them. And then something remarkable occurred gradually. I stopped fearing mistakes. I started welcoming them. Because every time I did one, I knew I was gaining ground. I also began to listen to others differently. In the past, I'd been there for meaning only. Now, I listened for patterns. When somebody used a sentence that I didn't know, I would ask myself, can I use that same expression? I copied. I tried. And yes, I fucked up even more. But there was a build on each mistake. Here's the reality. You can't learn to swim if you're not getting wet. You can't learn how to speak without making mistakes. And the more errors you commit, the more correct you get. So, if you've been fearing mistakes, rest assured, don't be. Mistakes are not your enemy. Silence is. If you speak and are corrected, you learn. We know if you sit there and stay silent, nothing changes. Let your mistakes be loud. Let them be bold. Let them be yours. Then learn from them. And like me, one day you'll look back and laugh. Because each of your errors was a sign that you were brave, an indication, it seemed, that you were learning, an indication that you were well on your way to fluency. Chapter 12. I made my speaking world. Keep in mind that your thoughts are entirely in your control. I did not live in an English-speaking country. There was no one around me speaking English. My neighbors, my friends, and my family all spoke in our mother tongue. So initially, I felt quite isolated on my English journey. I would tell myself, maybe I'll never be fluent. Perhaps I should go to America or England. Perhaps I should attend an English-speaking school. But I couldn't. That wasn't my life. So I had a choice. Wait forever or start where I was. And that's when I made a big choice. If it hadn't been for me and the English world around me, I would build it myself. It started with small steps. I set the language for my phone to English. At first, it felt strange. I did not catch all of it. But I learned. Slowly. When I opened my phone, I saw only English. It became part of my day. Then I changed my YouTube. Not videos in my language anymore. I only followed English-speaking channels. I discovered teachers who talked slowly, clearly. with subtitles. I watched every day, during breakfast, while doing dishes, before going to sleep. Then I looked for more. I typed into Google, English group for beginners only, and I discovered something beautiful. There were others just like me, learning English, feeling shy, and needing the practice. I joined one Facebook group, then another. Then I discovered language exchange apps. Hello Talk, Tandem. Gradually, I began typing out messages in English, but still I wasn't speaking. Writing was safe. Speaking felt scary. And then one day, in one of those groups, someone wrote, "Beginner Zoom English call, join us. Just say hi." I stared at the message. My heart beat faster. Could I do it? Could I really engage in conversation with strangers in English? I thought about it all day. I typed, maybe next time. Then I deleted it. Finally, I told myself, just try, just say hello. That's all. So I clicked the Zoom link. My camera was off. My microphone was muted. On the screen, I saw 5 people, all smiling, all waiting. The host added, "Welcome, friends. Together they practice English." Then she called my name. My hands were shaking. I opened my mic and I said, "Hello, my name is Anwar. I am learning English. I am happy to be here." I waited. And then something quite glorious happened. The host smiled and replied, "That was fabulous, Anwar. Welcome." Another said, "Nice to meet you." And another, "You are articulate." That was my spike moment. I didn't forget my words. I didn't run away. I spoke English in front of real people, and they understood me, and they were kind. I grinned all through the night. I heard those words over and over in my mind. You speak well. From then on, I started attending more Zoom calls. I stumbled across speaking groups on WhatsApp and Telegram. I sent voice messages. I replied to others. I went into live speaking rooms on apps, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 1 hour. I made friends. I laughed. I asked questions. I shared my thoughts. And I did all this from a tiny room, in my own country, with no foreign teachers, with no big money. It was just me, my phone, and my heart. I built my English world, and you can build yours too. Don't wait for someone to nudge you. Don't try to get it perfect in English. Just start. Change your phone. Join one group. Send one message. Say one hello. So that once you have done your English world, your confidence will grow. Will take your voice to the next level. And one day you'll look back, like me, and say, I did it. I built this. And I'm proud. Chapter 13. I practiced like a musician. Speaking English isn't just about knowing words. It's more than just grammar or vocabulary. Speaking is about flow. It's about rhythm. It's about sound. One day I had the insight that English is like music. And like a musician rehearses a song over and over, I had to rehearse my English in the same way. At first, I didn't know this. I thought, the more words I know, the better I will speak. So I learned 10 words a day, then 20. But when I attempted to speak, I was slow and halting and terrible. I had the lyrics, but I did not have the music. Then one night, I listened to a short excerpt of a speaker. His English wasn't quite fast, but it had rhythm. He took all the right pauses. He stressed the right words. It was beautiful, like poetry. That was my light bulb moment, and I thought, I want to sound like that. So I altered how I practiced. I grabbed some short sentences from movies, interviews, and podcasts. I didn't just listen to them. I studied them. I played that same phrase 5 times, 10 times, or 20 times. Then I copied. I closed my eyes and spoke the sentence aloud. I listened to my voice. Did I go too fast? Did I miss a word? Did I pause too late? I became a musician. I selected 5 sentences every morning. Can I help you with that? That sounds great. I'm not sure, but I'll try. I played them over and over, as a piano student practices a scale. I focused on tone, on the up and down of voice, on the tiny natural pause between words. At first, it felt strange, yet in the course of time, it felt like a dance, as if I were learning the beat of English. I came upon something incredible one day. I was no longer thinking about grammar. I was not translating in my head. I'd just been talking, I thought, like a song I knew by heart. Then came my spike moment. I was on the phone with someone in a voice chat room. Just a normal conversation, nothing special. And suddenly she said, "Wow, you sound fluent now." I paused. My heart jumped. I smiled and said, "Really?" She replied, "Yes." You speak with confidence. You talk like that comes to you naturally. That was among my favorite moments of my trip. It was not from learning 10,000 words. It didn't come from learning complicated grammar rules. It was a product of modest, melodic just doing. Now, when someone comes up to me and says, "How can I sound fluent?" I tell them this: don't just speak, performance. Don't just learn. Practice like a musician. Pick the sentences you like best. Play them again and again. Copy the tone, feel the rhythm. Teach your mouth the English dance. Because when you're speaking in rhythm, they're going to be listening, and you will sound like a real English speaker, not just inside of your brain, but out of your voice. Chapter 14. I focused on the message, not yielded to perfection. At first, I wanted to speak perfect English. Every sentence, every word, every sound. I thought if I didn't speak perfectly, people would either laugh at me or not understand me. So I waited. I stayed quiet. I reminded myself over and over. And still, I made mistakes. It was exhausting. Then one day, something flipped. I was on the street and a tourist asked me. She appeared to be lost and asked, "Sorry, do you know where the museum is?" My heart started racing. "Oh no," I panicked. "What if I say something incorrect?" But then I stopped and took a deep breath. I smiled and said, "Yes, go straight. Then right. Big building. You will see." That's it. Not perfect, not beautiful, just simple, clear words. She gazed into my eyes, returned her smile, and replied, "Thank you. That was clear." It was a wave that moment, washing right over me. She didn't care that my sentence was horribly flawed. She didn't mind that I never did turn right at the intersection or it's 2 blocks ahead on your right-hand side. That was all she cared about. Comprehension. That was when I learned something profound. Fluent English is not perfection. It's about being understood. Since that day, I no longer pursued perfect English. I began to pursue transparent English, meaningful English. I concentrated on short, helpful words like, I'm happy. It's okay. Can you help me? Where's the bank? These words worked. People understood me. I also stopped caring about accent. I spluttered out the words the best I could, slowly, clearly, with heart. And guess what? People listened. They replied. They smiled. And the more I concentrated on content, the more confidence I got. Here's the secret I learned. So long as your message is strong, no one will hang you if you misuse a bit of grammar. People forget about your accent when they are looking at a smiling face. When you're open-hearted, people want to get to know you. I moved to gestures a lot more. I pointed. I smiled. I used my hands to explain. I looked into people's eyes. That strengthened my English even more. Because English is so much more than a language. It's a way to connect. Connection needs meaning, not perfection. So these days when I speak to learners and they seem afraid of making mistakes, I tell them my story. I let them know about that tourist, of her smile, of what she had said. That was clear. That is your goal too. Don't wait to be perfect. Just try to be clear. Do not defer to your native speaker sound. Just speak like you. Because the words you use, even little words, matter. And every time someone gets you, you're winning. So next time you talk, here is what you should concentrate on. Does my message have meaning? If the answer is yes, then you are already speaking English well. Chapter 15. I thought I could talk. I had never flown before, so I was excited when I boarded the plane in Paris. I used to believe good English was for other people, not for me. I thought I was too late, too old, too shy. I was pretty sure I would always be the quiet one in English class, he who heareth and keepeth silence. But then, one day, something in me shifted. I had been looking at my journey, at all the small steps I had taken. I thought back to the first time I said, "Hello?" I recalled memorizing my first 10 words. I recalled speaking to myself in the mirror, and I was like, do you know what? If I've gotten this far, maybe I can go further. It was then that I knew in the bottom of my small head something was very, very wrong. You don't begin speaking your way to fluency. It starts with your mind. You have to believe it can be done. You have to. NFJ. You have to believe you can talk. I spent all this time waiting for someone to say, "You're good enough now. You can speak English." But no one said it. So finally, I said it to myself. I remember the day clearly. We were having a little party in English class, a celebration. "Anybody want to say a little speech in English?" my teacher inquired. My heart jumped. My hands were cold, but then something inside of me said, "Do it." I raised my hand. I wrote a brief speech that night, just a few lines. I rehearsed over and over, in my room, in front of the mirror, while brushing my teeth. And the day after that, I was standing in front of my classmates. I looked at them. I smiled, and I spoke. Not one word was forgotten, not one sentence was lost. I was done, and there was silence. Then, clapping, smiles. Even the teacher said, "You did it. You really did it." That was the moment. The moment I knew I can speak English. Not perfectly, not quickly, but clearly, with confidence. It turned everything around to believe that. I stopped comparing myself with other people, and I stopped caring what others thought. I started enjoying English, because belief gives you wings. You don't wait for permission when you have self-belief. You stop taking shelter behind grammar books and begin to speak from the heart. So let me ask you, as you're watching this video, are you thinking, can I ever really speak English? Let me just say, you can. You may speak slowly, you may make mistakes, but if you think, really think, that you can speak, then nothing can stop you. Remember, fluency is not about speed. It's not about big words. It's about connection. It's the art of expressing yourself, even if it's only short ones. And it begins with one strong idea. I believe I can speak. Say it now. Say it out loud. I believe I can speak. For in the moment that you believe, the impossible becomes possible, just like it did for me, and it will for you as well. You see, it's my 15 steps, simple, authentic, and potent. I didn't have special books or expensive teachers. I simply took small moments, simple tools, and a big belief in my own capacity to learn. I hope you got ideas from this video. I hope it gave you hope. And, most of all, I hope it made you feel that you can speak English. Not someday, but today. If this video was helpful, then give it a like. It really does help the channel and helps more learners like yourself discover this message. If you'd like to see more videos like this, packed with stories, easy tips to try, and simple steps to follow, subscribe to my channel. I upload videos for actual learners like you. And if you have a question or you want to share your own story, please put it in the comments. I read every single one. Some of them make me smile, some make me emotional. However, with every comment, no matter how mean, I remember why I'm doing this. Thank you for watching. Welcome to the beginning of your English journey, and I'm here to do that journey with you, step by step, word by word, sentence by sentence. Let's keep going together.